The morning sun cast a golden glow over the courtyard of Nigerian University, one of Nigeria's most prestigious institutions. Students moved across the campus, their designer bags and shoes reflecting their wealthy backgrounds. In a lecture hall, Professor Brown stood before a massive smartboard, his laser pointer dancing across complex economic models displayed in vibrant colors. The heavy oak door at the back of the hall swung open, and a figure entered the room. A black veil covered her entire face and head. "Good morning, sir," she said calmly. She moved gracefully down the steps, choosing an empty seat. Then Professor Brown said, "Excuse me, miss, but university policy clearly states that all students must have their faces visible during academic sessions. I'm going to need you to remove your head covering." "The university administration has granted me special permission to maintain my veil," she replied calmly. Whispers began to ripple through the hall. Professor Brown's face darkened. His reputation for strict adherence to protocol was well known throughout the faculty. "That's absolutely impossible. No such exception has ever been granted in the history of this institution. Remove it immediately or leave my classroom." Without protest or argument, she rose from her seat calmly. Every eye in the room followed her as she walked out. Her name is Mayo. Mayo's parents were high-ranking people, and apart from the physical job they did for show, they were secret agents hired by wealthy men and heads of state for risky jobs. Maya was their only daughter and showed potential from an early age, and so she was recruited and worked with them. At age 16, she had traveled to many nations, learned many skills, and could speak 6 major languages. She hid all these abilities when she was amongst common people. An operation went wrong, and in order to deceive their opposition that a woman on veil killed their daughter, her parents sent her to another school far away from where she schooled previously. That way, the opposition would want to work with her, and that way, her parents would know all they were planning. The next morning, curious students arrived early to Professor Brown's class, hoping for another encounter. Mayo arrived at exactly the same time, walking through the same door with the same quiet confidence. This time, Professor Brown said nothing. As days turned into weeks, Mayo became a fixture in the economics department. She attended every lecture, completed every assignment, and consistently scored among the highest marks in the class. Yet, she remained completely isolated from her peers, a solitary figure who seemed to exist in a world apart from theirs. Every morning, a gleaming black Mercedes-Benz with tinted windows would glide through the university gates, dropping Mayo and also picking her up afterwards. At other times, she rode a Kawasaki Ninja bike, the kind that cost most professors' annual salaries. Maya never joined any student organization, never attended campus parties, and never participated in the religious activities that dominated university social life. She was either in class during lectures or at the library or garden. This religious neutrality puzzled students more than anything else. In a country where faith was woven into the fabric of daily life, Maya's apparent detachment from any spiritual practice marked her as truly foreign, even suspicious. Maya's consistent academic excellence, combined with her mysterious background and obvious wealth, bred resentment among some bullies. The mockery began subtly, with sideways glances, suppressed laughter when Maya entered the room. Someone even started a group chat called Veil Girl Chronicles, where students shared exaggerated stories about Maya's supposed arrogance and strange habits. Photos of her were taken secretly and shared with mocking captions. Through it all, Maya remained impassive. She attended her classes, completed her assignments, and maintained her solitary routine. Her composure in the face of mounting hostility only frustrated her tormentors further. They had expected tears, protest, or at least some visible reaction to their cruelty. Instead, they got silence. As months passed, the harassment from her classmates increased. Anonymous letters appeared under her door with threats and insults. Her motorcycle tires were slashed twice. Someone even started a petition demanding that the university revoke her permission to wear the veil, gathering over 200 signatures before the administration shut it down. It was Emeka who finally crossed the line. Maya had finished her evening study session in the library and was driving home on her bike when she suspected the car following her. Immediately, 2 figures emerged from behind the building, Emeka and his friend Chinedu, both clearly emboldened by alcohol. "Hey, veil girl," Emeka called out. Maya stopped walking but didn't turn around. Please leave me alone. Oh, she speaks, Chinedu laughed, moving to block her path. I'm asking you politely to let me pass, Maya said, her voice remaining steady. Emeka stepped closer, reaching for her veil. We just want a little peek. What's the harm in that? Don't touch me! Maya's voice increased. Or what? Emeka laughed, grabbing the veil again. In minutes, both young men found themselves on the concrete path, gasping for air and staring up at their supposed victim in shock and terror. By morning, both students were in the University Medical Center with injuries that require professional attention. She moved like a trained fighter, Emeka said to anyone who would listen, his arm in a sling. The incident should have resulted in Maya's immediate expulsion. Instead, Maya was called to the dean's office, given a mild verbal warning and released without further consequences. How is that possible? Students whispered in the corridors. Aduni was expelled last month just for shouting at the lecturer, but Maya puts 2 students in the hospital and gets a warning? 3 weeks later, another incident occurred. A group of students had cornered Maya near the parking lot, their harassment more aggressive than before. When security arrived, they found 3 young men unconscious and Maya sitting calmly on a nearby bench, scrolling on her phone as if nothing had happened. Again, she faced no serious consequences beyond a brief meeting with the dean. The pattern repeated itself 5 more times over the following months, and each time, the university's response was the same, a slap on the wrist and a return to normal routine. As the months passed, Maya's isolation became complete. Students actively avoided her, afraid of becoming her next victim. Professors treated her with nervous respect, uncertain of what forces protected her, but unwilling to test them. She moved through the campus like a ghost, present but untouchable, visible but unknowable. The garden behind the science building became her exclusive domain. Students who had once used the space for studying or romantic encounters now found other places to gather. One afternoon, Maya was sitting beneath a tree when she felt a sharp pinch in her neck. Her hand moved instinctively to the spot, finding a small dart protruding from her skin. When she was conscious, Maya found herself in a luxurious room. A soft knock at the door preceded the entrance of a young woman, carrying a silver tray laden with delicacies. Maya's hand moved instinctively to her face, finding bare skin where her veil should have been. Panic flashed through her system, but she forced herself to remain calm. Her captors had seen her face, but that didn't necessarily compromise her mission. Very few people knew her real face. Where am I? She asked. You are safe, came a voice from the doorway. Maya turned to see a man entering the room. I am Zaka, he said, settling into a chair across from her with casual elegance. I apologize for the dramatic circumstances of our meeting, but I've been trying to arrange this conversation for quite some time. What do you want? She asked directly. Zaka laughed, a sound that was surprisingly pleasant. Straight to business. I appreciate that. But first, wouldn't you like to know how I managed to keep you in school despite your rather violent tendencies? So you were behind it all? She asked. Well, I made them an offer they couldn't refuse, Zaka corrected gently. I needed you to stay in one place long enough for this meeting to happen. Your habit of changing schools made you rather difficult to track down. But as the days passed in Zaka's compound, Maya found herself increasingly confused by her captor's behavior. He treated her like an honored guest rather than a prisoner. Her meals were prepared by professional chefs. Her room was restocked daily with fresh flowers and books she hadn't requested but found fascinating. Zaka himself visited regularly, not for interrogation or negotiation, but for conversations. He spoke about his travels, his business interests, and asked her opinion on current events and listened thoughtfully to her responses. Then one evening, he came as usual to chat with her. Then he confessed that at first, he wanted to find her and get back at Jerry and Molly, Maya's parents. But as the pursuit continued, his interest started changing. Maya was excited as this was an easy way to get rid of him. She lied that she liked him too, as he was more gentle than she had heard. But after weeks, she was already getting used to Zaka and was having double thoughts about completing her mission. They were having a good time, and Maya was happy that for the first time since she was born, she could go for weeks, living like a normal woman. But her happiness was short-lived. Maya was relaxing beside the pool one afternoon when she heard a bomb explosion in the main building. As she turned to stand up, she felt strong arms lift her as she was carried away. She knew without being told that her parents had finally come to collect her. The extraction was flawless, executed with the efficiency that had made her parents legendary in their dangerous profession. When the hood was finally removed, she found herself in a safe house she recognized, one of many scattered across the country for exactly this type of operation. Her father stood before her with a champagne bottle in his hands. "We've finally done it," he exclaimed. 3 years of planning, and we've eliminated Zach at last. "Thank you, Nora, for ending this deal for us." Her mother appeared with wine glasses, her elegant features bright with satisfaction. They toasted their success while Maya forced herself to smile and accept their congratulations. Inside, however, something was breaking apart. The knowledge that Zaka was almost certainly dead, and the realization that she had been instrumental in his destruction made her sad. "I need to freshen up, please," she managed to say, excusing herself from the celebration. In the privacy of her bedroom, she cried. She stared at her reflection in the mirror, seeing her own face clearly for the first time in months, and barely recognized the person looking back. When had she started caring about Zaka's welfare? When has his death become something to mourn rather than celebrate? She was supposed to be a professional, trained from childhood to complete missions without emotional attachment. Yet here she was, grieving for a man she had been sent to help destroy. 2 weeks after Zaka's death, she made a decision that shocked her parents. Please, I want to step down," she said one morning. Her father set down his coffee cup with deliberate care. "You're upset about the target. Well, that's natural. But you move past it. You always do." "No, Dad. This is different," Maya insisted. "I can't keep doing this. I want to try living like a normal person." Her mother leaned forward, concern evident in her features. "Darling, this is all you've ever known. You've been trained for this since you were 7 years old. What would you do in your life?" I can start with going to the university, a real university in a different country. I want to make friends who don't know anything about all this." The argument that followed was unlike anything in their family's history. Her parents couldn't understand how their perfectly trained daughter could abandon everything they had worked to build. After 3 days of intense discussion, her parents agreed to let her go. 1 year, her father finally conceded. "Try your normal life for 1 year. If you find it fulfilling, we'll respect your choice. But if you discover that this world doesn't suit you, our door remains open." As he gave her a hug. 6 months later, Mayo, now using her real name Nora, stood in the lobby of Columbia University in New York City. She wore jeans and a simple sweater, her face uncovered for the first time in years. Students bustled around her, chatting and laughing with an ease she had never experienced, but desperately wanted to learn. The weight of Zaka's death would probably never fully leave her. She carried the guilt of his destruction alongside the strange gratitude for the brief glimpse of humanity he had shown her, awaiting the future ahead.